And now, you feel me, they got their own, and it's like, damn, they all came from your nuts though, you feel me? Like these your kids, these your seeds. Like these my nuts out there that I'm spreading through this thing, you feel me? Like
we don't have to be talking about your nuts.
Yeah. Sick of hearing Beast Mode and I being corporate? Become a YouTube member and get all the shows ad-free and uncensored so I can say words like
take money out of that corporate jar and you become corporate free on the YouTube channel.
Attention Get Gotters, we have merch. Hit the link in the video and below to get your fits.
Don't get got, get yours. New merch.
Man, I know I'm gonna get got, but I'm gonna get mine more than I get got though.
2-4 for the one time. I'ma get got, but I bet I gets mine. 2-4 to 2-6, and if I get got, then you know what I'ma get.
Special guest. Okay, he's back in the saddle. Our coach from our Seattle days. He was at USC from 2001 to 2009, went 97 and 19, Beast. What a bunch of Pac-10 titles. Beat up on you a few times, I know that. At Seattle, 137, 89, and 1. He had a tie, which was part of the set.
So hold on. Well, one of them losses came from us too, though.
One of them losses came from Cows.
I mean, it was the year before I got there, but I was at the game, so I count it.
Hold up, let me finish before we let Coach talk. All right, one of 3 coaches to win a Super Bowl and college football national title. Pete Carroll, welcome to the Get Got Show, big dog.
Coach, so glad to be here.
Coach, you back in the saddle, bro. You coaching again. Coach, what's happening, man? What, was this your plan the whole time? You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Holla at your boy, man.
I never said I retired.
Hey, I know something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. That's right. I wasn't sure. I didn't know. I was not finished coaching in my mind, but I wasn't. I didn't know how that would come up again. I was anxious to kind of see what would happen. And so as the middle to the end of the season started rolling around, wheels started turning a little bit, and I started making a call here or there just to figure out what was going on. And there was a little bit of interest, college too, a little bit. There was some stuff going on back and forth. And the more I got around it, the more I felt the passion growing, and so I was really, the way I would say it is I was in the pursuit of the passion of this thing, and it's never been nothing but fun. So it just fortunately worked out. A couple of crazy things happened right around the end of it, and but the Raiders thing, when Tom joined up, that really made a difference to me, and that kind of shifted my gears a little bit. And then when I learned about the ownership that had come on, that Mark had hired, and with his new guys and all that, there was a whole energy about it that really seemed like it fit. And they were kind of fired up about me doing it. And so it was a pretty easy decision in that case. I knew nothing about going to the desert or Vegas or any of that stuff. And
you
hadn't thought about it.
You did.
Yeah. But anyway, so it got jumping pretty good. Really, in the last couple of days, Sean called me up and say, hey, what's going on with this? I'm starting to hear some talk or whatever. He's giving me a hard time late. Of course, he called me about 11:30 at night.
You call him that late. I think that's what he do his best work.
Yo, it's going down Sunday, June 22nd. Catch me, Mike Robinson, and my brother, Money Marshawn Lynch, live at Fanatics Fest for a live podcast.
Hey, come pull up, man. Good conversation, good vibes, and a good-ass time, though.
Plus, a great guest you won't want to miss.
Yeah, this gonna be somebody who you don't want to miss. I'm telling you, though, straight up.
That's Sunday, June 22nd, Fanatics Fest. Hit up the site and get your tickets online now.
We're hitting the stage at 11:45 a.m. Look, don't miss that thing. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know what we had going on, but I remember it was maybe it had to have been 2 o'clock in the morning, which now kind of make sense because you was over, back across the way, which gave you a little time difference. But I remember getting a call and, we was having talking so much, yeah. And I'm like, man, nah, you like, wait, hold on. You want what? We were talking about contracts. You said, you're not Adrian Peterson.
Oh, he said that. What? Oh.
He went in. You're not Adrian Peterson. You're not.
You had to drop the mic.
I was like, I'm like, hey man, it's lucky for you that you ain't in negotiations with them right now, and you in negotiations with me. But we gonna figure this out. Yeah. I was like, man, I look like just call me at 2 a.m. and just he said, you ain't Adrian Peterson. You ain't. Chris Johnson.
Oh, he named all the backs.
Oh man, he was going down the list because everybody was just getting a bag at the time. I'm like, damn. That's how we.
Why you get at him like that, Coach? What you was trying to do? You just trying to let him know, hey man, we just trying to, it's a business thing.
I was trying to rough him up before you roughed me up.
That's how it is, man. Look, Coach.
I had no idea what was going on.
Coach knows this, but Beast, I do my NBC thing in the falls, and there was a couple times I was up at Washington, had a chance to, say what's up to Coach. Coach, just talk about that year being off, and you were up in Washington with your son. Brendan was up there being the offensive coordinator. How did that experience keep the hunger? There for you, just being around young people, being around, the college athletes again. How did that year with Washington, or kind of in that realm, help you come to the decision to be a head coach again?
That was just really one part of the offseason, but it was a good part of it because I got to, hang close. I went to practice a handful of times and kind of hung around and just so I could keep track of what's going on, what Jed was doing, what Belichick was doing on defense, just for fun, but it kept me close. And it was really following my grandson playing in high school. That was a total great time. I had so much fun with that. And then Nate was coaching at the Panthers, and Dave Canales was coaching out there, and DQ's doing his thing in Washington. So I had a bunch of guys that I got to watch and stay in touch with. And really, the perspective that you're luckily handed when you don't coach is to see things totally differently. It's so much clearer that during the season, it's hard to evaluate the game. You're just battling, but this was a year like my last time I sat out where so much happened, and it was just like, I was being handed insights throughout the year about different things that I saw in the game that I liked, didn't like, things that I would like to do differently and better. I got motivated in a different way to teach better, to approach things differently with my coaches so that they could teach and coach better. There was just a whole laundry list of things that kept coming. And so I was getting excited about it because I was pissed off about so many things we didn't do right. We could have done better. It bugged the heck out of me. But, so all of that just kind of fueled it, and it just kind of fueled the excitement about returning. And then, but it really is a totally different perspective than when you're in the midst of the game plans and you don't get to see the game. And so it happened, way back after the New England years. I sat out that one year and got my act together, got my philosophy together, got the way I could best express, where I was coming from and all that. And then the next thing that happened was USC.
Yeah.
After I go to USC, and the rest, to me, I don't even mind saying it. The rest was history. We've done a lot of good stuff since then, but it was that year off where I found the clarity to step away and find myself more so. And so this year was different, but it was similar in that I gained a ton of information that I'm unloading right now on the fellas as we're doing it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something though, because you hear about like all the great coaches, like, oh yeah, these guys come from the Parcell tree. They come from the Belichick.
He got a tree, Peacock got a
That's
tree.
what damn, Mike.
What? I'm just saying.
You still want a Debo. That's because you got that
just get
do-rag
along.
on.
Jeez.
Yeah. But I'm saying like to see all the guys that came from, because I just look around and I run into coaches. Like, look at Salah, like, what if, like, Dave Canales, like, bro, this the that used to hold the cards. Like, man, you drew the damn card wrong, and now, you feel me, they got their own it's like, damn, they all came from your nuts though. You feel me? Like these your kids, these your seeds. Like these my nuts out there that I'm spreading through this thing. You feel me? Like
we don't have to be talking about your nuts.
well, I mean, I feel like I raised them too though. You feel what I'm saying?
I mean, in a way.
I'm like, damn, look at these dudes. And then, you know what I mean? So how I mean, that year off and you looking around like, damn, look at all my kids. They out here doing that. Like, man, hold on, man. I might have to get back in here and Pops might have to show him what's really going on. Like,
well, I can't lie to you, man. It was something like that. It was sitting back and watching, and I'm cheerleading and all that, but I was not removed from it. You know, I was just in a different place. And I was talking to David all year long and you know, talking to Danny and, you know, talking to our guys because I kind of keep track of everybody as best I can, you know, and for those guys, just to be available if they've got questions, they got thoughts, they got whatever's, you know. And I'm not expecting that I had got any jewels of wisdom for them. I just want to support them and love them up as they're going through it. But it was my gift. They gave the gift to me to kind of just stay with them, you know. And so, you know, and what happened, and what you guys know too, because we've been through this together. And when we go through this thing together, you know, there's a connection that's made that doesn't fall away. It doesn't go apart unless you're talking to Earl or something like that. You know, maybe Earl.
Damn, you really threw that in there.
You really threw that in there,
Hey,
huh,
man,
Coach?
you gonna
just throw that in there real quick, like we ain't want teammates with him. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna get up off of ET, man.
I love
Man,
Earl.
that's my
I
brother,
still love
man.
Earl. He doesn't love me.
But look, man, I knew you was something serious when I seen Brick. Where Brick was at? Brick was just.
This was San Fran.
He's at the Jets. At the Jets.
Brick, I said, man, hold on. They let Brick in this. I said, yeah, okay. Well,
Brick was a good coach. Brick was always a good coach.
I mean, maybe because I played against him more.
Played against him, yeah.
So I mean, you know, it's like, you know, to see that, but knowing that he came from that tree, is like, oh yeah, you was serious with it.
Yeah.
And then,
well, let me say
shrugs.
this, guys. One of the things that happens now is with, you know, you see the new guys get a chance to be a head coach and first time opportunities and all that, and it don't work out very well for the most part. And it didn't work out for me either. You know, I got bounced at the Jets after 1 year. I got bounced 3 years after being at New England. We were winning. We were 27-21 after 3. We went to the playoffs twice, and I still got fired. You know, but I didn't have my act together. I didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't. And not until I sat out that year between New England and SC did I get my act in order so that I could have a philosophy. You know, and my point is that. For the new guys that try, they don't know what they're getting into. There's no way you can get ready for it. There's nothing that prepares you for it until you do it and you realize what you don't know and how much you don't know. And so the clubs and coaches, and they all struggle with the new guys coming on. I mean, David Canales really he'd been with me for 14 years. He had the language of an approach, whether it was him or not. He had an approach that he could stand by and at least govern the decisions and the choices and the confrontations and all that stuff. That's what the new guys, they don't know, you know, and it's not their fault. It wasn't my fault either. I just didn't know. And so, you know, it's to come back now, you know, after redoing it a couple times, this doesn't seem hard now, man. This is freaking fun.
You 100 years old, goddammit.
It's just rolling it out, you know, and watching it happen. It's really, really been special.
Well, to that point, Coach, you've done this a long time, man, right? You've had an opportunity to fail a few times and still be able to come back, win championships, all of those things. Now you're back in the league. I can assume you're sitting in rooms where maybe everybody doesn't have the wealth of experience as you do. You know what I'm saying? How do you govern that though? Like, it's almost like you know some of the answers to the tests, right? But you also know shared experiences have to be gone through together, right? So everybody can learn and get to a point to where you are now. How do you govern that in the moments when you may feel you have an answer to a problem, but yet you do know that, you know, you got to delegate so that people can learn what they can do on their own, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. There's a lot of depth to the thinking that goes into this because where in one regard, you know, I want these guys to to grow and learn from their own experiences, but yet I ain't got time to wait for them either, and so so I have to find the way to communicate with them in a way that continues to support them and build them up, but yet make sure that they stay within guidelines that can keep us in a philosophical vein and stay on track and on course. And so, I mean, like with Chip Kelly, man, this guy's been around, he's coached all over the place. He's been a head coach a number of times. He's been highly successful and all. And he's got an incredible brain, and his office is right next to mine for a reason. We need to be sharing our experiences as we go through this. But what I'm really doing is I'm supporting them in every way that I can, but yet I'm also, I'm feeding them, the little gems that, to keep them in touch with what we stand for and how we operate. And it's not the same as he's done it, so, but he's been marvelous about it. He's been really open and easy to communicate with and all that. Patrick Graham, on the other side of it, Patrick is a younger coach, but he's been a coordinator for 6 years in the league. He's been through a lot he's from the Belichick upbringing, and so we come, a widespread of difference in our way of looking at things and treating people and all that. And so that's been a little bit different, that relationship. So, and then it feeds right on down through the coaches. What I have to do is do a freaking awesome job of just kicking ass in every step of the way and everything, so that we can stay on course and keep getting positive and all, and doing the right things to build. Like we had 3 phase 3s this past week. And on the last day of the week, we had a competition between offensive and defensive coordinators. We had a scrimmage in essence, where they had to call defenses and offenses against themselves, and so I got to see, what's happened in this first couple months we've been together, kind of how it first shows itself. And, of course, when I mentioned to the team in the meeting that we're going to, hey, we're going to have a first OCDC competition. Of course, they start, shootout, so I got Chip Kelly shooting against Patrick Graham, up in front of the meeting, and it just added, led to a really good day. But my point is that this is it's a race. It's a race to get everything together and to get really clean and sharp. And you got to get really good at something before you can get good at 2 things, and so we just have to keep battling, and I have to keep the quality control of that throughout the process. And I don't, I miss stuff. I don't do it as well as I want to, but I've got to be totally active and interactive with everybody to give us our best shot to do it the way I picture it and dream it to be, and so it's really, really fun. It's fun as hell, because this is as much fun as you can have in coaching, putting it together like this. And so fortunately, the guys are doing great, and they're putting up with me, and I'm driving them crazy. And, I've been going, man. I've been going. I was bleeding on the practice field on
because you do too much sometimes.
I don't know what happened. I hooked somebody or something,
you be doing too much, coach. You know what I'm saying? You got to calm down, man. You're in your 70s, bro. Relax.
No, I don't. I'm not in anything. I'm not in
anything. Coach Paterno told me the worst invention was the calendar. You know what I'm saying? He told me that before he passed away back in the day. But here's my question, man. Because I remember when I first got to Seattle, I remember sitting in your office with John, and you guys sat me and actually Leon Washington down at the same time and was like, yo, this is how we want this team built. These are our core principles. We're going to need guys like yourself to be saying the same type of stuff in the locker room as well.
Yeah.
You've been a lot of different places. Like the Raiders ain't like the Raiders been to a lot of championships as of late. You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you
they sure have.
How do you come in and completely change your culture? Because, and I've said this to him before, he ain't gonna be upset. Well, he might. I don't know. In the past, I've looked at Raiders like that's been the graveyard for careers. You know what I mean? Because it hadn't been a lot of winning. Sorry, Beast. I love you, bro. Not you, but I love you. So my thing is like, how you do it, man? Because that's tough, bro.
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing we did in the very first meeting is I said, okay, you guys have a perspective on, how at times have been here and kind of how you see things. And I bet most of you are sitting in the exact same seat you were sitting in when you left. I said, get up and change your freaking seat. Let's go. Everybody take a new look at this thing. So everybody had to get up out of their seats and sit in a new place. And if I did that when Marshawn was there, he wouldn't have moved. No. Okay. He just sat in the same seat. No. Yeah. He'd have stepped over, then he'd have sat back in the same seat. But I'm watching. I was watching, I want to see who changes seats and who doesn't. I want to know. And, but the point is that had to leave everything in the past. It's no different than going from a one year to the next, from a championship season or a struggling season to the next one. How are you going to do it? You're going to drag all that with you, or are you going to go on?
Yeah.
And so the whole point is to start new and start fresh and give them a new outlook and really be willing to be different at everything. We painted the hallways and the building and some of the meeting rooms and stuff like that, just to change the colors. There was so much black in the hallways. It was like you're in a freaking cave, And so we lightened it up a little bit so we get a little bit more silver in there. But the point is just, they never hear me talk about anything in the past of whatever. I don't give a about that. Doesn't mean nothing, And that's a philosophy. It's the next step you take that counts. It's the one that the very next thing you do. What's next, And so, this is like a no-brainer for me. You know what I mean? This is easy for me to confront this challenge because we start over every time, And so that's what we're doing now. And so, we're balling now. Practice is going,
I hear, man.
If you guys remember, I used to get in trouble. I used to get in trouble a little bit, how we practiced, back in the day.
Yeah, I remember some of that.
So,
getting practices.
He didn't practice that much,
practice took away.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all was hitting too hard. We got
had me.
two practices.
Pete, you remember that morning I was on the phone with the PA trying to argue? Well, we won't tackling, guys. We guys were just competing. You know what I'm saying? Then they took a whole week of our practices away.
I remember that shit.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you guys haven't brought it up yet, and maybe it's not time yet. But how about Dylan McCullough being on the staff here?
Oh, yeah,
Sherm's,
running back.
Sherm's son.
Yep.
Sherm's son.
Sherm's son.
Because you guys, nobody knows Sherm better than you guys back in the day and all that. But to have this connection with Sherm, and Sherm lives through D now. There's the words, the looks, the glances.
Looked.
Hey, Coach, in that vein though, I ain't gonna lie, man. What was it? 14, 15 years in Seattle. Like, I never thought you would coach anywhere else. I ain't gonna even lie to you, bro. Like, in your view, like, what happened? You know what I'm saying? Does a message get run its course after?
Did you and Snide? Did y'all run y'all fair one? Did y'all
they went to VMAC and squared up?
That what they went. Did y'all? You had to go throw hands with him.
Well, okay, what I was saying. Let me take you back.
Okay,
how could I have ever left USC? Really, how
you know how your ass left USC.
Cats getting paid,
NIL.
Before NIL, that's why
the
you
creator of the NIL.
Look at him.
But okay, but really, at the time, I couldn't picture coaching anywhere else because we had won so much and had so much fun, But when it happened and I got a call and they started talking about the chance to do it exactly the way you want to do it and all that kind of stuff, all the control and all of that. And I love the league. College football is great, but I love the league, the way it's formatted and it's the best of the best and all that kind of stuff, and the playoffs and the whole thing, the way it's structured. And so, that happened. Okay. So how could it happen again? Well, let me help you out on this one. First of all, how did I wind up leaving Seattle? Well, there came a time late in that last season, there was about 4 or 5 games to go. And I went into John's office. I said, John, we're coming up the end of the season here. And at the time, we didn't know, how good we were going to do. We were because we won 4 or 5 of the last 6 or something like that. And I said, there's a lot of changes that are coming and potentially, and you and I aren't looking at these changes probably the same way. And because I had guys, I thought we were really close, and I love Bobby and I love Quandre and I want Locke, T-Lock and all the guys. I wanted to keep going with those guys, and I knew that he was likely thinking differently. He was, and so I said, this might, and I had always been in charge the whole time. And I had always said to John that, when I leave, I'm hoping that I'll be able to help you be the general manager and have this be your gig. And so I said, this may be that time. I said, maybe why don't you talk to ownership and see if you're sitting in the right spot where they would give you the chance to do that, then maybe it's time for us to move it on. And so that was really the conversation.
So you suggested, you suggested that. You came in and suggested a change. I got you.
Yeah, and I didn't want to. I couldn't quit on the fellas, And so it kind of I just had to kind of eat it, how it came across. You're asking me still, you didn't know what happened. Mm-hmm. But John and I, we had been partners in this thing. And to me, that head coach, general manager thing is by far the most crucial relationship in the NFL, maybe most professional sports. And I always wanted John to be the best GM, in the NFL or in professional sports. And I was going to promote him to be that. And that was the way we were getting married, in a sense, in this job. And we were going to, nobody would know who's calling the shots or how we did it. It was just going to be the Seattle way. And so it worked, and it worked great for us. And we had a blast doing it. But I kind of had that promise all along that, someday you'll be the guy and I'll be getting out of here. It was going to come sometime. And so it just kind of worked out where that was. They were okay about it. And, Jody didn't like the thought of firing me. And so, we worked out a thing where we talked about consulting and that kind of stuff. But as soon as they started going, I couldn't. I mean, it was too creepy for me to be around that building or be close to those guys.
Because they told me you was up
felt
there.
Like when Bill Walsh, Bill Walsh did it. He came back at the Niners when I was there. And, the last couple of years before George Seifert, left, and it was creepy. It's just like the old guy. Everybody's walking around corners and they were looking at ducking and dodging.
They told me you was back there creeping around the loading dock, trying to. I say
one time. You was walking through the I had to fill up my car with my stuff, and so
they were like, "Hey, I think I seen Pete walking back in the back over there in them bushes." Should I be afraid?
I was hiding. EK had a big bunch of pile of stuff to put in my car, and I'm starting to load up the car, and out of nowhere, it was middle of the day, and nobody knew I was there, and I see this guy come jogging into the parking lot, and I look over and say, "Yeah, shit, that's a new coach." I've met him before, So he comes up, "Hey, coach." So we had a real nice visit for a couple minutes, and he it was classically, it was a nice meeting, but that was it. Then I loaded the car and I was gone, and that was it. Nobody had to know. And I didn't want to, it just would have felt, I didn't need to do that. So anyway, it worked out great, and had a fantastic off season and did a lot of fun things and watched a lot of football and really got ready. I should be the best I've ever been. That's what I should be right now. And that's what I'm planning on being for these guys and see how far that takes us,
Well, I think the last time I told you thank you was probably after we won the bowl and I was giving you the hug and all that type of stuff on the field.
You was crying.
I was crying my ass
bubbles.
off. Yeah, all that.
You goddamn.
I knew I was done. You know what I'm saying? I knew my football journey was over. You know what I'm saying?
I said, this big old ass crying like a little broad.
We talk about this. Pete, don't give him that energy, man. You know what I'm saying? We talk about this on the pod.
Forgive somebody.
We talk about this on the pod a lot about when Beast came to us in Seattle in 2010. Could you just give us the background behind that? I heard, you were chasing him for a while, trying to get him a while. And why him? Like, what about this big head, big face?
We not gonna make this.
What about him?
He got somebody over there in the backfield right now.
I know I'm gonna get there, but it starts here. Let me do my journalism.
This is you.
It's my journalism. Yeah, it's my journalism.
Plays.
Yeah, got a role. You guys got roles to play.
Yeah,
you right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So here's the deal. It goes way back to recruiting. Knowing Marshawn during the recruiting process. And we wound up not getting together. I don't know. Did you ever visit, Sean? I don't think you visited us, did you?
Nuh-uh.
Yeah, and so, but I knew he was out there and all that, and we had a great year of recruiting running backs that year. And then we played against him, and so I got to see what it was like playing against him. So I felt like I knew him well, driving the golf cart and all that stuff. That didn't matter to me. And going to Buffalo and getting in trouble with guns in his suitcase or something. I don't know what the heck that was.
He knew your whole thing, bro. He knew it all.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Hey, I was just telling you, that didn't bother me one bit. I knew who he was and what he stood for as best I could from afar. And going into this new program that we had nothing at the time, we were just getting started, and I wanted to have somebody that that could make a statement with the way he played, and particularly involved in the running games. Why Cable was I got Alex Gibbs. You don't remember this, Marshawn, but we hired Alex Gibbs to be the line coach,
line coach.
and he quit. He quit on
sure
Monday
did.
of the
Sure
first
did.
week of the season.
Yep.
He quit.
I
You know, and
remember,
anyway,
bro.
so the next thing was to
Damn.
get Caves to come in, but I wanted a mentality and I wanted a symbol, and really I thought, and we tried to trade for him for 3 months. I kept John, call again, just keep calling. I don't even, what did you want? I don't know. We don't even talk about what the compensation was, but eventually they said, okay. And so we got him. And from the moment he got there, he was very suspecting of me. I thought he didn't know what the heck he was getting into, but I was in love with the guy coming to our program from the very, very beginning. And that's why you talk about competing to get you out of Buffalo was, it was a long ass haul, you know, but it was worth every minute of it. And so that's what happened. And then the rest of it was just let him be him, you know, and which I'll say it in front of him. It's a marvelous thing, you know, and it's shown me how, and I've talked about it for years about finding what is so extraordinarily unique about each person and let that come and bring it to the front. And Marshawn was always in the back of my mind because he's an amazing individual. And and I'm not talking about all the crazy stuff. I'm talking about the effect you have on people and the effect of them responding to you. And as long as you and I were okay, everything was going to be fine. And so I was going to make it okay. It wasn't any, you know, I was going to make that relationship successful. And I eventually found out that I kind of fell in love with you, but it took a while. But here was the deal, you know, and I'm talking to Mike now. The deal was, I love Marshawn, and I didn't care what he did. I didn't care. He couldn't do wrong by me. And he never did. And he just did Marshawn, and which I thought was an amazing, incredible gift. And I love you to this day for all of the things you've continued to do, because your heart people don't realize how big your heart is and how much important it is for family and how important it is to take care of those that need you and all that. And so, you really have never been any different in my mind from the time I first met you and got to know you. But I'm one of your great cheerleaders because I love what you do and all that. And not everybody can see the beauty, but I know I can. And so we didn't have to make up. It was just like, come on, let's go do this. And I'll be darned if didn't you score a touchdown or something in the first game back or something like that?
Yeah.
Dude,
Every
I think
game.
you did. I think.
Every game.
Anyway, so
every game.
Every game. It was like 3 games or something like that. 3 games in a row or something like that.
Game, 4 touchdowns.
Whatever it was. It worked out awesome, you know, and maybe nobody could see why or they couldn't figure it out, but they didn't have to. I didn't get, you know, I just want to do it again with you and have fun doing it and help. I want to help my team, and I knew you could. And so anyway, it's a good story.
We gonna edit all of that.
Why you gonna edit it? Because I was gonna ask him some more about you.
No, man, we ain't supposed to be talking about me. This is for
you part of the
him.
Get Got, dog.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? This is you too, bro. You know what I'm saying? Well, in that same vein, Coach, you got a hell of a back now. You drafted one in the first round. I called his game against Oregon this past year. I saw him running away from the defensive backs, man. Talk about Jeanty and, you know, possibly how maybe he compares to this guy. Right, he's been on the show before and he's spoken some great things about beast mode, but just talk about your back and how he compares.
I love the fact that you guys have already started a relationship and that's already ongoing. You know, and I'd ask you guys too, if you've watched him enough, there's something about his style that is reminiscent of some other great backs. He has an ability to use the force of the tackler, and he goes with the force, and he glances and bounces like Emmett, like Marshawn, that he would bang off of things as opposed to banging into them, you know, and you would do that too, but you would do it to gain force where you wanted to go. He's got that, I think. And I watched everything as much as I could because I was trying to determine, does he have the special? You know, does he have that knack, that sense? Emmett, you know, and Barry and Sean, they had that sense. It's almost like a martial art kind of, you know, using the other person's power to your advantage. So I'm thrilled that he's on our team, and I hope that we can really, you know, bring him into the light for everybody to see. So it'd be fun. He's a good kid.
Definitely.
You know, I got to stay on him though. Got to stay on him though. You know, the first couple of days of practice, you know, he was kind of cruising, and I said, "Hey, wait a minute now. If you're going to be the dude, you got to do something. You got to be special, and you need to show these guys that you're special. And the best way during this time of year is to do it with your effort. Make sure that you're busting your ass and you're running out to make those guys chase you. You know, and he responded right away and took off and sent a message. You know, that he's willing to kind of take this, you know, this load and this opportunity and do something with it. So we'll see. But we need to keep coaching him up. We ain't done. He's just a pup.
Yeah, man. Let that man get in his stand straight up, coach. You know what I'm saying? Let him see. He's short. You know that, right? He got to be able to see.
I didn't tell him not to. I didn't tell him that happened to he and his coach. So they're working something out. So.
They working something out. All right. Could you talk to us about how important it was to have Geno there in the fold? I'm such a fan of Geno, coach. Great job bringing him with you. Great job paying him. Just talk about Geno and how much further along you've been because you have a guy that you know.
He tried to bring everybody about that building.
I know. Remember DK wanted to go.
He tried to get everybody about that building. He tried to have the Oakland Seahawks.
The Oakland Seahawks, bro. They everywhere.
Yeah.
Vegas.
Yeah. I was working there. Well,
I'm still
the Geno to me is like getting Marshawn. You know, to me it's like that because there's a connection of the impact that the guy can have on everybody else. Geno, you know, the years we spent together, the years when he wasn't playing were the most significant years to me because he exemplified this mentality that I had never seen in anybody else. So I really would tell you that he thought every play he was going to be in. And somehow he held on to that kind of focus that it wasn't, he didn't ever lose it. He didn't ever waver. Every play that the other guy was taking, it might be his last play and he might be ready and he needs to be ready to go. And, you know, he'd been through some pain and some hardship and stuff like that. But by the time we got him, he came with this mentality that anyway, so when he finally got a chance, he did great. You know, and a lot of people were surprised. Shoot, he was comeback player of the year, you know, the first year that he started and all that after Russell left. And it was just, so to get him to come too was, oh man, it's just so significant because he's awesome. He's awesome every day, first guy on, last guy off. Yeah. It's just sizzling in practice, you know, great throws every day. And he got the little skinny legs, you know. I keep hitting him with, hey, did they arrest the guy? And he says, which guy? The guy that stole your calves? But anyway, but he's, you know, he's just done everything you could hope for. And with Max is such a significant leader on the defensive side that those two guys, and they've just joined up together, you know, collectively to give us something that's really, really powerful. So, I mean, okay, that's a good start. You know, that's a really good start. You know, so now the rest of it has to come together.
You mentioned his name, but I just got to ask, you and Russ good, coach?
Say it again.
There's more of his journey.
You and Russell good?
Yeah,
okay, I just got to throw it out there.
We're doing fine. Like I told you guys, I stay in contact with the guys.
Okay,
and as best I can. And so, you know, Russ was one to call you. And so, you know, I've heard a lot from him and I stayed in contact with him throughout with the same thought, just trying to help him, you know, just trying to help him through. Geno and I were talking during this last year too, you know, and just trying to help and be there for him and continue to support him because nobody knows those guys as well as I do, you know, and so if I could be there for him or answer some questions or kick him in the butt or whatever, you know. And really, there was a chance that, you know, that with Russ coming up in free agency that, you know, we need a quarterback. So there was conversation, you know, in that short amount of time there before we got Geno that, you know, who knows, you know, there could be a shot. So
reunited and it feels so good, huh? Y'all was about to be reunited, huh?
Yeah.
I love it, man. You got to get.
Hey, you guys might be able to carry out a couple yourselves. You know, you might be able to get out there and just the two of you lead them up through a little lead play or something.
Oh no, Beast Mode could do it. I don't have the size no more, coach. I don't want no parts of it.
Hell no. I went through one of the
don't worry about the size. It's the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight.
You're right.
The dog,
and I remember our conversation when
they were saying you were soft.
No, when Jeff Albrecht called me when he was my homie, but you was in his office. So I was talking to Jeff and you were telling me, look, man, I just need a fullback to block a half of a guy. That's it. I never forgot that, coach. You know what I'm saying? I even teach up other fullback. What you saying, man?
Nothing.
You trying to say I was soft?
I wasn't trying to say you were soft. I just was listening to what the coaches was saying.
Oh, there you go.
Man, I know I'm gonna get got.
You know, this the Get Got pod, right? And, you know, obviously, y'all were playing Philly a few years, you know, some
Was
years
it
back.
Philly?
It was Philly because I drove up there. And me and Beast Mode had an interview, and he famously said, you know, everybody gonna get got. I'm just gonna get mine more often than I get got. You know what I'm saying? And so we always ask our guests, do they have a Get Got story? Now, I know you got a lot of stories, and I'm sure you've gotten got a few times in your life. You know what I'm saying? Do you have a great Get Got story that you could share with us on the pod today?
Or when you got somebody.
Or when you got
Because
somebody.
you got
yeah.
275 transactions.
Yeah,
that
bruh.
first year.
Yeah,
I was
you
with
cut a lot of
Jeanty.
people, cuz.
So I know it's a lot of
He thinking about
You
this.
know, there's a lot of opportunities to get got, and
Damn right.
it's happened to me enough times. And I always like the other guys to learn the hard way. I hate learning the hard way, you know.
Yeah,
But I don't know that there's anything anyone particular. You know, there's some really significant things that happened, and I mean, you guys can kind of mark them. You know, it's getting to Seattle, getting back to the NFL and having a chance to prove it. You know, that what we were doing at SC all those years could be accepted. Because when I went into Seattle, I didn't know. You know, I wasn't sure. I kind of did, but I was unsure that the league would take to us having so much fun and enjoying the stuff that we do and caring for people the way we wanted to care for them and all that. And then I learned how to do it even more, you know, in the time we were there. But that was a big opportunity. I love the NFL, you know, and I was there for 17 years, and then went back to college, you know, and you know, for another, you know, whatever, all those years, and then then came back. So it was always getting back to. But it's the real one is still out there. The real one's still out there.
The real one's still out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go do this one more time. And get it done again.
We were garbage in 2010, though, Coach. You know that, right? We weren't that good in 20. We won a playoff game, but we weren't that good. You know what I'm saying? As a team standpoint, we went to the playoffs. We won a game.
I'm just saying.
You know what I'm saying? We scrapped. You know what I'm saying? But we weren't that good. We won 7 games.
That was your first playoff game, too.
My first playoff game.
That was my first
Remember
playoff
after the
game.
Tampa game on the plane, you came in the back and said, all right, guys, I know we just got our ass whipped. Don't look at the film. There's a championship opportunity next week. We get to play the Rams for the division. You know what I'm saying? And we got excited. Charlie Whitehurst went out there and won. Last one, I know I said.
Wasn't that a Tampa game? That Hasselbeck pulled his butt muscle or something, scoring a touchdown?
Yes.
Like that.
Yes, I actually got a first down on the quarterback sneak that game, man. You know what I'm saying? We did a little wildcat action. I remember that, man. We won the division with 7 wins, man. What's your thoughts on possible, you know, you still think the division winner should be the guy
I wasn't voting
game?
for that other rule. You know, I was voting for the division winner. I just like the structure. Smart, you know, I'm old fashioned about it, maybe, but whatever. But I like the structure, and I like the championship within the championship. You know, that's just part of it. Remember, I always said, you know, own the NFC West was our deal, and own the AFC West is what it is now. And if you do that, now you set up for the next cycle of championship run, and so. I like that. Remember what we did with it? Remember the freaking game? Nobody would ever have thought they're saying, "Oh, this is the worst matchup in the history of the NFL, and we're going to get murdered." And all.
And Coach, I remember the whole.
We didn't even. It wasn't even close to getting murdered. We freaking won going away.
No, bro. I remember that week. Coach was saying, "Dude, they played 3 games in like 15 days or something like that." They're gonna come into a buzzsaw when they walk up in here. Yeah. And we went out there and we beat that ass, man. Coach Carroll, thank you for coming by to Get Got today, man. We appreciate it, man.
Appreciate the time.
Anytime you need us, holla at us, Coach. We're definitely
anytime. I know you guys
man.
will be in Vegas. I know he's gonna be in Vegas.
Goddamn right.
You too, Mike. Yeah, anytime. I love seeing you guys.
Man,
I don't get enough
spot.
of it. So whenever. All right, you got a parking spot. When you're coming in, let me know. You can have my parking spot.
Well, I used to use your back in Seattle too. So
one of your linebackers.
That's why I was telling you.
One of your rookie linebackers from Richmond too, man. Out of Indiana, out of IU. So tell him I said what's up, man.
Okay, you got it. You
yes,
got
sir.
it. Take care, guys. Be
all
good,
right,
Coach. Anytime. See ya.
Man, I know I'm gonna get got, but I'm gonna get mine more than I get got though.
2-4 for the one time. I'ma get got, but I bet I get some. mine. 2-4 to 2-6, and if I get got, then you know what I'ma get.